how many of you there are in here. This is incredible. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Should I sit down? Is there a weird reflection on my glasses? Can you see my eyes, or do they look like white holes? Should I take them off?
They're very stylish, though.
I like them. They're funky. They're rose. I like rose.
Well, we all just want to say welcome to FanX, and there's a saying we have in Utah, this is the place. And I have to say,
I think in Salt Lake City for 3 days, and this is the place.
And I think FanX is just the place for the two of you, because FanX is a place to come to celebrate what you're passionate about. For you, Evangeline, it's your storytelling, whether it's on screen or on the pages of your book, and then Rodrigo through your art. So I think that you're going to find a great chance to celebrate what you're passionate about and share it with so many people. So we're excited to talk today about your books about the Squickerwonkers. And I think I speak for a lot of people when I ask, what's a Squickerwonker?
What is a Squickerwonker? A Squickerwonker is a vice-ridden marionette puppet who likes to cause a lot of trouble, but mostly gets themselves into a lot of trouble. So the Squickerwonkers series will eventually be a series of 18 books. If you're a collector, this is great news. If you're not a collector, you're completely overwhelmed. And they're cautionary tales for kids. And it's been a very long time since I've seen an author come out with a cautionary tale for children. And I've noticed that there seems to be a lot of children who think no matter what happens, everything should turn out fine. No matter how they behave, they should never be at fault. And there should never be any blame put on them, right?
Spoilers, it doesn't work that way. Sorry.
Yes, she's right. Spoiler, total spoiler. So we have the prequel that I published in 2013, and it took me a very long time to find this gentleman who was willing to run the gauntlet and do 18 books, and he committed, and now we're finally rolling out the series starting this summer, giving you guys a sneak peek look at the demise of Selma the Spoiled. It doesn't come out in bookstores until spring of 2019, so you guys are the first people to see it.
How long has the idea for the Squickerwonkers books been with you?
I've been ruminating this idea since I was 14 years old.
Wow.
Do we have any middle schoolers in the audience? Put your hand up. Yeah! Scream all your loudest. You should be very excited because all of your best ideas are in your brain right now. It's all downhill from here. I'm sorry to bring it to you. And so I've held this idea for all these years, and it's just grown and grown and grown, hence the 18 books. But the first poem was written when I was 14, and my sweet mom said, "That's very good, honey, you should try and publish that." And I thought, my mom thinks everything I do is really good. It doesn't necessarily mean I should publish it. But many years later, when I was working on The Hobbit with Peter Jackson, and his incredible Weta Workshop team, I met an artist who was inspired by the Squickerwonkers, and he wanted to put them on paper, and that was Johnny Fraser Allen. And he and I created the prequel together, and it was such a rewarding and incredible experience to finally be the creator of my own stories instead of just a player in somebody else's.
And for Rodrigo, how did you envision what a Squickerwonker is, and how did you connect to Evangeline to join this team for this series of books? Here, use mine for now. They're on top of it.
Amazing, this is the place.
So first of all, hi Salt Lake City. For all of you, it's amazing to be here. And everything started when I actually read the prequel, and the first time I fell in love about the story and everything. And as an artist, I wanted to create a piece of art inspired by what Evangeline wrote. And I actually did a fan art of the book, of the prequel. and I can send to her on the Facebook page, on the comment section there. She very quickly liked it and commented on it, and I said, "Oh my God, that's amazing!" And then after that, so I was in Brazil at the time, and I was working. Brazil! Aê! So at the time, I was working at the Comic-Con in Brazil, and I actually asked them do you guys want to bring Evangeline Lilly here? Because I didn't have the opportunity to meet her in person. So I actually asked them because I wanted to meet her. And what happened is that I knew that for her, the most important thing was the books, and I wanted to make sure that the books could be published there in Portuguese also. So actually everything happened that way. The book was published there in Portuguese. She came to visit us, and I had the opportunity to meet her. And I brought everything to her, all my portfolio and everything, but you know.
He came to meet me backstage, and somebody said, "Rodrigo's here to meet you," and I thought, well, this is this kid, this guy who managed to get my book published in Portuguese and somehow got me halfway across the continent to come to this con. So yeah, I'll meet him, send him in. And he came in so prepared. He had his portfolio, and his sketchbooks, he had everything ready. And it was obviously he's an incredible artist, but I think the thing that struck me the most when I met him was what an incredibly soft-natured, very thoughtful, very kind, and sweet guy he was. And if you're going to be stuck working with somebody for potentially 15 years, you hope there'll be someone you can get along with for 15 years. So yeah, that was how we met. Basically, fan art on Facebook.
Dreams do come true. Now, with these stories, starting with Selma the Spoiled, and it looks like it's going to follow this amazing cast of characters through the years. When I first read your books, I immediately thought of my cousin. She's the most creative and funny little kid, and I just thought this story would be perfect for her. But then also looking at the art, it seems like something that even an older audience would appreciate. So who are you aiming at with your books?
Well, everyone, of course. But really and truly, when I collect illustrated books, and I'm an undisclosed age. No, I'm just kidding. I'm 39, and I collect illustrated books. What?
You don't look a day over 30.
Well, thank you, sir. And so really, I think books of illustrated books are always for everybody of all ages. They're for children of all ages. And I'm also a mother, so I know the torture of reading geckos surf over and over and over and over again. And I wanted a book that the adults could enjoy multiple times over and over, and that the illustrations would be so rich and detailed that there's something new you see every time you open the book, because I know these poor parents are going to be reading the book over and over and over again. But really, the book, in its sweetest sweet spot, is written for me as a little girl. And I was what modern day people call a reluctant reader, which means that I had intelligence, I was smart, but I was a terrible reader, and therefore I didn't like books. Because if I found a book that had the right amount of words on the page for me, it was a baby book and I hated the content because it was boring. Or if I found something that the content was interesting to me, I could not get through it. It was painful. I was a very, very slow reader. And my grandfather was an educator, and he once gave me a book called The Dwindling Party by Edward Gorey. Do we have any Edward Gorey fans in the auditorium? It's amazing how few people really know about him, because this is like the crowd. So, and you heard how few people there were, but he was this children's book author who always wrote maybe 5 to 12 words per page. The rest was illustration, but they were very dark and they were very sophisticated for a child. And I always got the humor, and I loved the humor, and I felt like this man understood that just because I was a bad reader didn't mean I was dumb. you get it, right? And that's what these books are meant to do. We're winking at kids saying, we know you get it. There's a line in the prequel that says, though the girl was suspicious, her fear felt delicious. And so she hopped onto the stage, and thus begins our tales. And I wanted to directly point out that children don't judge their emotions the way we do. Children enjoy all of their emotions. They relish in their tears. They love to have a tantrum and get angry. And they think fear is so much fun. And so these books are meant to be both funny and a little bit spooky, and they are for children in the sweet spot between 6 to 10 and in the very sweet spot who are reluctant readers like I was and like my son is today.
You described that so well. I wish that we had some time to hear more of the story from you, but since we're a little limited on time, where can people get more?
Okay, because yeah, we were hoping we'd have time for me to read from the book, but we want to make sure that we have time for questions and answers, and I'm really thinking questions and answers might take precedent. So if you want to hear me read the book, alright, I'll read a couple pages, okay?
And this is, again, The Squickerwonkers, The Tale of Selma the Spoiled, which is not yet available in bookstores. So listen good.
All right. I'm gonna skip the first page because you don't need it, and we're limited on time. Ready, sound people? This is gonna get loud.
Give me a treat! I want that pretty dress! I insist that you come out to play!
It seemed nothing had changed, for the girl was deranged in her need to have things her own way.
A much bigger toy! A gesture for me! I want my own traveling show!
What Selma would choose, no one dared to refuse. The answer could never be no. When daily the Squickers paraded through town, she came with a skip and a smile. It gave her great pleasure to seek out some treasure and add it to her growing pile. Wait, skip ahead. She had all these wonderful, amazing things, and we do all kinds of things in rhyme, and they're very fun. And then, one fateful day, to the Squickers' dismay, a strange vendor arrives in their lands. And this strange vendor will ultimately bring Selma to her final demise. Because she's a brat.
So who wants to know how the story ends? How can they find out how the story ends?
If you want to hear more of the story, I do voice the audiobook for The Demise of Selma the Spoiled. It's available on iTunes and audible.com. I voice all the Squickerwonker characters in it. So you can hear me make a fool of myself if you want to do that. It's available, online already. That is already out. And actually, I'm gearing up to record, when I get home, to record the next installment, The Demise of Lorna the Lazy.
One very quick last question for Rodrigo, and then we'll get to your questions. Rodrigo, what do you want people to know about the illustrations in this book? What are you hoping that they get?
Oh, I think one of the most important things that me as an artist and this book also is when I was a kid, I always loved the very classic illustrations and paintings, and also some of the cartoons that are really well done and well drawn, like the Thundercats and some of the, so they were really beautiful. And I think today we have a new style that is more simple, and it's not my style, but I know I like it. But I wanted to bring to this book some of more classic. That is my formation in arts. So if it is a book that it could be like in the Renaissance period. So it has all these textures and different traditional techniques, oils. And also in some parts I applied gold leaves on the illustrations. So it's something you want to stay a long time looking at it, like all these days reading for your kids or just reading for yourself too.
I think every time that you read through the books, you're going to find something new. Let's make sure we get to questions.
Hi.
Hey,
So
how's it going?
for the record, this is a Squickerwonkers panel, but you guys can ask me anything you want.
Awesome. Thank you guys for being here. My question is for you, Evangeline. So I know it's been like 7 years since Real Steel came out. My question is, how much secretly are you really wanting for Real Steel 2, so that way you can make Hugh Jackman sing The Greatest Showman to you in person?
I would listen to Hugh Jackman sing a cereal box in person. He is something else. I honestly was with you guys in pushing really hard for a Real Steel 2, to the extent that when I got the feedback that they almost did it, and then they were having troubles, coming up with something, with the writing, and there was having issues in the writing room, I went off and I outlined and wrote my own version of Real Steel 2, and what I would do. So I was like, well, if you just need ideas, I've got tons of ideas. But ultimately, I think, and I'm being extremely candid here, I don't know if you guys saw the marketing for that movie, but it was like, the marketing was like this. And so people went to the theaters expecting, and then they got this really sweet, beautiful, heartfelt story about a father and a son. And I just think the wrong people ended up in the theater. And by the time it got to the right people, who were actually looking for a beautiful, redemptive family story, it was already long past theater time and out in DVD, and it hadn't done the theater numbers that we hoped it would. And so I've been told we're never gonna see a Real Steel 2. Aww. And as much as I would love to work with Hugh again, and as much as I would love to work with Sean Levy again, something's beautiful about that remaining sacred, because I tend to be not a huge fan of sequels, period. I kind of love the idea of leaving well enough alone and just treasuring and cherishing one thing as it is. So I'm kind of two minds on that. Go ahead right here. Hi, Jesus, cats, tacos. Those are her priorities. Yes. It says it on her shirt. I'm not assuming.
My question is for Evangeline. I'm sure you know thousands and probably millions of little girls look up to you now because of your role in Ant-Man and the Wasp. And I was just wondering what advice you would give little girls who now look up to you and want to be like you when you grow up. When they grow up.
One day I'll grow up too. Excuse me. I think it's very tempting sometimes to tell little girls, you're as tough as any boy, and you can be tough and you can be powerful. And I actually tend to want to give little girls the opposite message, which is to tell them that they are powerful, and that they are powerful because of their femininity and not in spite of it. It's so important to me when I play a woman who has the potential to be macho, that she be the opposite of macho, that she be sensitive, that she be empathetic, that she be compassionate, that she be thoughtful, that she be vulnerable. Because those things have been depicted in our society as a sign of weakness. They have been lame, they have been qualified as uncool, and that it's cool to be tough, and it's cool to be macho. And so I was a sensitive, feminine little girl who turned into a tomboy, because I learned those lessons really well. That if you want to be cool, and you want to be tough, and you want to be respected, then you gotta be like a dude. And I want to just tell girls, that's bullshit. You be whatever you are. If you were born uber girly and you like frilly things and you like princesses, that's powerful too. There is power in you. And if you were born and you like to play with trucks and you like G.I. Joes and you keep beating the boys up on the playground, there's power in that too. Just be you.
Look at this cute little guy. Do we have a question right here?
Hi, dude.
Hi, my name salads. I like a movie.
Thank
I'm
you.
in the Wasp. I really like Ant-Man and Wasp. I really like it.
Thank you so much. I love that you liked
And
it.
he was going to ask what your favorite movie was, because my wife and I, we watch a lot of movies with you from...
What my
we go
favorite
back
movie
to
was?
Lost.
Sorry,
We
can
know
you
you
say
all
that?
the way from Lost. That's where you first came in, and when we saw you in other movies, we were so excited to see you. And we were just wondering, the actors and actresses from... Do you stay in contact with those actors? And actresses from Lost.
Which actors and actresses do I stay in contact from Lost? The people that I still have the closest relationship with and really stay in contact with are Elizabeth Mitchell, who played Juliet. She's a very, very good friend of mine. Jeremy Davies, who played Faraday. And of course, I am the baby mama of one of our assistant directors. Right here.
Yeah.
We're still in touch, him and I.
First of all, great artwork. And then
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Evangeline, your character Hope in Ant-Man and the Wasp. If things don't work out with you and Ant-Man, do you think there's a hope for Thor in you, possibly?
Is there a particular Avenger that you think Wasp is going to get along with? What if we pivot?
We're pivoting? She's like, let me save you. That's a dangerous question. You know, the original comic books, Ant-Man and the Wasp are a duo. And they're always a duo. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like you almost never see them not together. And I've been asked, would you like to do a standalone Wasp film? And I keep saying, well, I don't think so, because they're partners and they were always partners, and you know, they're the original founding members of the Avengers, and they belong side by side. And now I've been seeing posters coming out for Captain Marvel, and I'm like, oh, hang on a minute. That looks really fun. Right here.
Yes, now that you're a big star, do you still put gravy on your French fries?
I never put gravy on my French fries ever in my life because I think it's gross. I never even put gravy on my turkey. Gravy is gross. Must have been a rumor.
Hi, my name is Ammon. I'll officially introduce myself. I think my question a lot of us have is, what's next? I mean, you have your next 16 books to write through the course of the many years, but are there future movie contracts that you're not allowed to tell us about, or is there like a Lost reunion coming up anytime soon, or like what's in the near future for you?
Only contracts I can't tell you about, mainly because they're not actually contracts yet, they're mostly concepts. And so there's a term in Hollywood when something gets greenlit and all the contracts are signed and the money's in place and you're on your way to producing, and that's when we say it's real. Okay, now it's real. And until it's real, you're not allowed to talk about it. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Jeff. I was wondering, is your character in your book based on anybody in particular?
Well, they're all very vice written, so it's very dangerous. There are people in my books that are based on people I really know in real life.
Or on your own kids on their particularly naughty days?
Well, I would say that Selma might represent the millennial generation. Which, by the way, I love millennials. I'm always saying I learn every day from millennials, but there's a lot of Selma in there.
They could learn from you too.
Go ahead.
Hi, thank you both for coming. I'm Jessica, and I was just wondering why you decided to write a children's literature book, and you think you might branch out into other genres later.
That's a really good question. I have been told that I chose the hardest genre to write in first, that it's wiser to start with adult fiction and then move into children's fiction, because you have to be so succinct with kids' books, and you have to be so it's so sacred, it's so important. What we tell to our children and what we teach them subconsciously through their stories is profound and important, and it's shaping our future. But I think that's what I love about it, because everything that I do professionally, I really only care to do it if I feel like it can make some kind of an impact. And reaching children is something I've always been passionate about. When I was a kid, I taught Sunday school, I worked at Bible camp, I was a babysitter, I worked at a juvenile school and taught physical education, and I've always invested in kids, and I love kids, and I just think children are so open and so beautiful and ready to receive, and so who better to give to?
So, you'll be our last question, so, no pressure.
Yeah, good. If, say, hypothetically...
No pressure.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, she's got notes.
If I do. My brain turns off in front of people I like, so... if you hypothetically survived a plane crash and ended up on a desert island, and this is for both of you, by the way, what book would you want to have with you? And I want to hear from both of you, please.
It's a crossover question.
Harry Potter. Holy cow. Harry Potter.
It would not be Harry Potter. I'm gonna say, gosh, that's hard. I want to go to Ayn Rand's The Fountainhead. Maybe just because it's so freaking long. But I think because after I read it, I thought, wow, if I read that again in a year, I would read a completely different book. I know I would, because I would have changed. My perspective on what I was reading would have changed. No, forgive me, not The Fountainhead, Atlas Shrugged. Atlas Shrugged. I said it and I was like, no, that's the boy one, I want the girl one. It's a fantasy of mine to play Dagny Taggart one day in a movie. I think that would be incredible. She's such an amazing character, and she would hopefully keep me tough and hard enough to survive on a deserted island. Thank you.
The Lord of the Rings.
For those of you who didn't pick up on it yet, he is a total con geek. Excalibur. Anything you hear because you love, he loves it too.
You're among friends. Well, Evangeline and Rodrigo, we're so happy to have you here at Comic-Con. Tell us what your plans are for the rest of the convention, where people can continue these great conversations and get to know a little bit more about you and your books.
Well, we are doing signings together at my signing booth, and I'm doing photo booths solo. And if you come to visit us at either one, a signing booth a photo booth or a signing table, then our gift to you for coming out today and for being here to support us is a copy of this book. We're going to give it to everybody who comes to see us, and who gets a signature or a photo, and then Rodrigo will sign it for free, because nothing's free at a con. And we just wanted to say thank you, and we wanted to give you something for free. And then we also want you, if you have this, you come and got the signature, you got a free book. We want you to have this one, and we don't want to upsell you that one. We're going to downsell instead. So it's available for sale on our website for $12.99, and here today at the con it'll be $10 even. So that's our gift. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for being willing to hear about something that is new and that we're really